Hello, welcome. My name is Diane and this is the New Old Nurse. Today I'm going to talk about why I chose LPN over RN and would I do it again. So many times throughout my career, someone I've been working with who is thinking of pursuing nursing school asks me, well, don't you want to be an RN? Why did you do LPN? Why didn't you just go and get your RN? I've even had some people in front of me say, oh, she won't know, go ask the RN. This is just stuff that happens. But I chose LPN for very specific reasons, and I would definitely make the same choice again. Disclaimer, some of this information could vary greatly depending on the state or even the country that you may be located in. I know different states have started to make different requirements, for example, achieving your RN, taking a bachelor's degree. That is not the case where I live. So I have to qualify what I'm going to say a little bit by my location. The LPN program where I live is 1 calendar year. The time that I started was in the spring semester. So I began in January and I finished in December of the same exact year. Now that was just the actual nursing program itself that did not include prerequisites. The RN program is not 1 calendar year. The difference between the LPN and RN program was 3 semesters versus 4 semesters. Yes, folks, where I live, it is only a 1 semester difference between the LPN and the RN programs. The prerequisites also vary a little bit. The LPN program where I live has a specific anatomy class that is 1 semester long. So it doesn't have a separate lab. That is the main difference. It's the same information for the most part, I would imagine. It's a 5-credit class and it's only 1 semester. Whereas the RN program requires the typical 2-semester anatomy and physiology with the separate lab. The RN program also requires microbiology. Unfortunately for me, I had completed some of those classes over 20 years ago during my bachelor's degree in biology, but they would not count. Most nursing programs have an expiration date on your science classes, and my classes were far too old. But when I was evaluating for myself and with my family what time I could invest in going back to school for a new career, the number of prerequisites I had to take and the length of the program were very significant to me. The prerequisites were going to be something that I would have to do before I could ever even apply to the nursing program. So the longer my prerequisites took, the longer it would be before I could even submit my application. And if I didn't get in, then I would have to wait till the next cycle. So I didn't want my prereqs taking so long that it pushed a nursing program further into the future. The other thing was that I knew I wouldn't be able to work during my nursing program. Some folks have to, and I honestly don't understand how on earth they pass their classes and work at the same time. I had some classmates who tried to work on the weekends, during breaks that we had, and it was overwhelming for them. I really am not sure that I could have done it and been successful. So the LPN program appealed to me because it would be less time that I would have to be taking off from earning money before I could start a new career. And that was a huge deciding factor for me. I knew that an RN program was a bigger investment, not just in time, but in finances, because I would be off from work longer. It would also be more expensive because it was more semesters of tuition. And even though I was very lucky financially that I knew I could have a year to do a nursing program, I really wasn't able to do 2 years in a nursing program and not work. I also really couldn't just spend thousands of dollars on prerequisites before I could even apply to the program. So in that regard, the length of time of the program and the lower cost made a huge difference to my choice. One of the factors for me too was the location. The nearest school to me that offered an LPN program did not offer an RN program. So it wasn't like I could just choose, oh, well, I only have to drive 20 minutes to get to my LPN, or I only have to drive 20 minutes to get to my RN. If I wanted to pursue my RN, I would have had to drive to a whole other county, which probably would have been a closer to an hour-long drive to get there. And that is something that, while I could have done it, it just made the LPN program that much more appealing to me, knowing that I could get there faster. Some of those nursing days are very long. You have class straight from 8 to 5. Not having a double commute time made completion of the program that much more tolerable. And one of the main reasons why the LPN program simply made more sense for me is that I knew I could always go on and pursue my RN later. It wasn't as if becoming an LPN meant I could no longer become an RN. In fact, in my area, there are what we call bridge programs. Maybe where you live, they have the same thing. And you basically get credit for your year of LPN schooling towards the RN program. So the RN program is much shorter for you. Yes, I still have to go back and do those prerequisites that I didn't do because they weren't required for the LPN program, but I can still do that. That's still my choice. It's still a possibility for me. And if I want to go on and complete my RN, it's sitting there waiting for me. Nobody says you can not go on for your RN just because you've gotten your LPN first. And you never know in life. You might become an LPN and realize, holy mackerel, I despise nursing. And then you've devoted a lot less time, money, and effort to realize this is not for you than you did if you pursued your RN to begin with. So the big question, would I do it again? In a heartbeat, I would do it again. I do think that eventually I will pursue my RN, mainly because there's a particular type of nursing that I would like to do that LPNs do get hired to do, but in general, it's mainly RNs. So I think just to give myself a better chance of doing that, I will eventually get my RN. But I'm still not sure. Obviously, I'm not sure. I haven't done it yet. But I can decide at any time. Nothing is stopping me. It's just whether I want to do it or not. I have to say, the thought of going back to nursing school, even if it's only for a couple of semesters, it's just exhausting. Just the thought of it. Anybody who's already an LPN knows, like, oh my gosh, I'm going back for my RN, please, God, no. I don't want to go through that again. But you can still make that choice. It'll be tiring again. It'll be hard work again. I'll probably burst into tears a couple of times again, but I made it through the first time and I can make it through again. One more thing, and this I'm certain is based a little bit on where I live because I've heard stories that it's not the case everywhere. But a lot of people say, well, why become an LPN when you get paid more to do the same exact job as an RN? That is a very good question, and that does happen in some areas. I know, for example, that one of my local hospitals pays the LPNs terribly, and you're doing exactly the same job as the floor nurse who's an RN. It's really kind of terrible, and it makes me not want to work at that facility. But there are lots of jobs where LPNs are earning as much or more as RNs. Do RNs typically have a greater earning potential over the course of their career? I'm sure. But I can't tell you how many stories of people I know personally who are making six figures as an LPN because of the type of position they have. Those are possible. LPNs are not limited to low pay. There's lots of different types of jobs and lots of different pay scales. And some entry-level RNs in local hospitals where I live are making less than an LPN at a different type of position. That happens all the time. But I think I'll save all that for another video. Any questions about why I pursued an LPN that I haven't addressed here, or if you have any comments as to how you made your decision, please let me know. Until next time.